silent unuresia why the alien colony was quiet. Too quiet. The war had ended, but the silence felt heavy. Alien parents walked slowly through the corridors, their steps echoing in the empty hall. They held their hands tightly, expecting the worst. Every door they passed reminded them of what they had lost. When they reached the nursery, their hearts froze. The door was closed, its surface scratched and dark. They could see shadows moving inside, but no sound came out. Fear gripped them, their minds racing. Imagining the worst, they thought of their babies, small, fragile, lost to the chaos of war. The elder mother placed her hand on the door. Trembling, she whispered softly to herself, hoping for a miracle. Slowly, the door creaked open, revealing a scene no one could have expected. In the center of the room, a human sat on the floor. He was wounded, blood staining his uniform, his hair messy and his body tired. Yet, in his arms, the alien babies slept peacefully, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect rhythm. The parents froze, their mouths opening but no words coming out. The guards raised their weapons instantly, a reflex of fear and anger, but the human did not move. He only looked up with weary eyes. His voice was calm, almost gentle. When he spoke, they were crying. "So I stayed," he said. Shock rippled through the room. The parents could not believe what they were seeing. A human, their enemy, was holding their children safe, alive. The babies did not stir. They did not cry. Their eyes closed, completely trusting the human's warmth. The guards whispered to each other, confused and unsure. Aliens had always been told that humans were merciless, killers, invaders, yet here was proof of something different, something impossible. The elder father stepped forward, his weapon still in hand, but lowered slightly. Why are they alive?" he asked, his voice a mix of fear and awe. The human winced at the question. His hands shook as he adjusted the babies, careful not to wake them. "I could not leave them," he said simply. "They were too small, too weak, too innocent." The mother's eyes filled with tears, but she did not approach. Every instinct told her to attack, to remove the enemy from her sight. But something in the way the babies slept, the way the human protected them, stopped her. Time seemed to slow, each second stretching longer than the last. The air was thick with tension, fear, and disbelief. The human's chest heaved, pain evident, yet he made no sound of complaint. The baby's small fingers curled around his coat, gripping gently, trusting completely. The parents watched silently, hearts pounding, emotions torn between rage and relief. Finally, the elder mother spoke, her voice soft, almost trembling. Who are you?" The human looked up at her, his eyes tired but honest. "My name is Evan," he said. "I was part of the human army, but I could not leave them." He looked at each baby in turn, then back at the parents. "I stayed because I could not bear their cries," he added, his voice breaking slightly. The parents stepped back, still cautious, but the fear in their hearts was mixed with curiosity. For the first time, they saw not a human enemy, but a protector, a soldier who chose mercy over violence, care over duty. And in that silent nursery, under the faint light of the war-torn colony, something impossible began to take shape. Hope, the enemy who did not argue, and the alien parents, still stood frozen in the nursery, their minds trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Evan, the human, sat quietly on the floor, cradling their children. His eyes were tired, dark circles beneath them. He had been through battles, he had been wounded, yet he had not fled. The elder father stepped forward, cautiously. "Why did you stay here?" he asked, his voice low, controlled. Evan looked at the babies, his hands gentle as he adjusted their blankets. "I could not run," he said softly. "I heard them crying. I could not leave them." The words hung in the air, simple, honest, yet powerful. The guards whispered to each other, disbelief in their eyes. Evan remembered the day the war began in this sector. His unit had been ordered to retreat, to leave the colony, but in the chaos, he had heard faint cries, weak and trembling. He had followed the sound, ignoring the risk. Every step brought him closer to the nursery, closer to the babies. By the time he reached the door, the sounds were almost gone. Their cries had weakened, but they were still alive, still humanly innocent in the middle of alien territory. He lowered his weapon, ignoring the danger. Every soldier around him had run, every plan of attack forgotten, but he could not leave. He could not abandon the small lives depending on him. The babies had needed warmth, food, and safety. Evan gave them his jacket to cover their tiny bodies. He shared his last ration, his water, his energy. He whispered soft words he barely understood in their alien tongue. Words meant to comfort, to calm, to protect. The alien mother's eyes softened as she watched. She noticed how the baby's tiny hands clutched Evan's jacket, how their breathing slowed as if they knew he meant no harm. For the first time, she saw vulnerability in the enemy. The human was not their killer. He was their guardian. Her heart conflicted. Caught between fear and awe, the elder father's hand rested on his weapon. Uncertain, alien law demanded that enemies be punished, that mercy be rare. Yet here was a man who had risked everything for their children. He had not run, he had not hesitated. He had made a choice that no alien could understand fully. Evan's eyes met the father's, tired but honest. "I am not their enemy," he said, voice low but firm. "I am only their protector." A guard whispered, "Why does he care? Why not leave them to die?" Evan looked up, answering with a simple truth. Because war is not their fault. Because they did nothing to deserve this. He shifted slightly, wincing at the pain in his leg, but his arms never faltered, never shook. He was exhausted, yet he remained, a human standing alone. In the enemy's nursery, protecting the innocent, the alien parents stepped closer, slowly. Every instinct screamed danger, yet every heartbeat told them to pause. The babies stirred, their small faces pressing closer to Evan's chest. He hummed a soft tune, almost a lullaby. The sound was alien and human at the same time, soothing, calming, protective. The room was silent, except for that gentle melody, and in that silence, a new question formed in the parents' minds. Could an enemy be more human than expected? A human Piaro Mr. Nursery remained quiet, the babies sleeping peacefully in Evan's arms. The alien parents watched, unsure of what to do next. Fear and curiosity battled in their minds. The elder mother finally stepped forward, her voice soft but firm. "Why? Why do you care for them?" she asked, her eyes searching his face. Evan looked down at the small creatures he had sworn to protect. He traced a tiny hand with his finger, careful not to wake them. "I had a sister once," he said quietly. "She was small, just like them. When war took her from me," his voice shook slightly. Memories flashing in his mind. "The soldiers in my unit, they left her behind. They ran," he whispered, "and I promised myself I would never let that happen again." The alien mother's eyes widened, a mixture of disbelief and understanding in her gaze. She had heard stories of humans being cruel, violent, and selfish, yet here was one, wounded and alone, choosing mercy instead of hatred. Her own babies clung to his jacket, trusting him completely. Something inside her softened, a faint hope glimmering in the darkness of loss. The elder father lowered his weapon slightly. Still cautious, Evan looked up at him, meeting his eyes with honesty. "I am not here as your enemy," he said, voice firm. "I am here because no child should be left to suffer alone. No life is worth less than another, not even during war." He shifted the babies carefully, making sure they were warm, every motion gentle, every gesture careful and deliberate. One of the guards muttered, under his breath, "He is human, yet he protects our children." The elder mother noticed the subtle change in the babies. They were calm, their small hearts synced with Evan's steady heartbeat. It was impossible, unnatural in alien eyes. How could someone from the enemy side be so tender, so careful, so human? Evan's eyes wandered across the nursery, seeing the walls scarred by battle. He remembered the cries of babies he had seen in other colonies. Alone, frightened, cold, abandoned. He could not let it happen here. Not again. He had no orders, no command, no duty, except the one he chose himself. And that choice was simple, yet powerful. Protect the innocent. Care for the helpless. Save life when it is most needed. The elder mother stepped closer, studying him. "You speak as if mercy is natural for your kind," she said softly. Evan smiled faintly, a hint of pain in his eyes. "No," he admitted, "it is not natural, but it is possible, even during war. Even when everything is broken, we can choose to protect, to care, to love." The room felt lighter, the tension easing slightly. The guards relaxed, though still wary. The babies shifted in Evan's arms, small fingers curling around his coat, their trust undeniable, their safety undeniable. The alien parents could no longer deny the truth before their eyes. This human, this enemy, had become their protector. And in that silent war-torn nursery, a fragile promise was made. Evan promised to keep the babies safe, to shield them from harm, to care for them as if they were his own. And the aliens, slowly, silently, promised to watch and understand. Perhaps there was more to humanity than war, than fear, than hate. Perhaps a single human could show the way. And in that moment, the nursery no longer felt empty. It felt alive, filled with hope, with trust, with the quiet power of a human promise. The judgment of the CIU and CIL, the alien council chamber, was cold and dark. Tall figures surrounded a circular platform, their eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Evan was brought forward, still holding the babies carefully. The nursery had been sealed behind them, but the echoes of his lullaby seemed to follow. The council elders spoke first, their voices sharp and demanding. "Human," one of them said, "you entered sacred territory. You were armed. You could have killed or been killed. Yet you chose to protect our young, our future, our bloodline. Explain why we should not execute you for trespass and defiance." Evan's chest tightened, but he stood tall, though his body ached from injury. He did not hesitate. He spoke with the same honesty he had shown in the nursery. "I am here because no child deserves death. Even in war, life must be protected. I made no choice for glory, for orders, or for myself. I stayed only to save the innocent." The babies had done nothing wrong. They were not soldiers, not enemies, not killers. They were small, weak, and afraid. "I could not leave them," Evan said, voice steady.com, yet full of feeling. A murmur passed through the council, the elders exchanging glances. Alien law was clear. Mercy to the enemy was forbidden. Yet here was proof of something impossible. The babies slept peacefully, their small bodies warmed by Evan's coat, their trust undeniable, their calm undeniable. The elder mother of the nursery stepped forward, her voice quiet but firm. "These words are unusual. Human, your kind rarely shows such care. Yet we see the truth in your actions. You acted for life, not for war. Perhaps there is more to your species than we know." The council elders looked skeptical. One of them growled softly, "We cannot judge all humans by a single soldier." Another elder replied, "Perhaps, but a species is measured by the choices of its few, and this one has made a choice worth noting." Evan shifted slightly, making sure the babies were safe. The chamber was tense, filled with the weight of centuries of law and tradition. Every alien present waited for a decision, for judgment, for the strike of justice or mercy. Finally, the eldest of the council spoke, voice slow and deliberate. "Your actions defy our law, human, yet the lives you protected cannot be ignored. You will not be executed. You will not be punished. Instead, you will be allowed to live, under watch, as a guest among us. We will decide your fate in time, but for now, you are safe." Evan breathed a quiet sigh of relief. The tension in the chamber eased slightly, though suspicion lingered. The alien guards lowered their weapons fully, though their eyes never left him. The babies stirred, small fingers clutching at Evan's coat. The elder mother whispered softly, almost to herself, "Perhaps one human can teach us what mercy looks like." A new question formed in every mind present. Could enemies truly be allies? Could compassion survive in the heart of war? The council's decision was only the beginning. Beyond the chamber walls, the war was not fully over. Signals from the human fleet had been detected. Approaching quickly, Evan's heart tightened, knowing that his actions had bought time. But the future, and the true test of trust, was still ahead. The council adjourned, their final words echoing in the chamber. "Let his actions be recorded. Let it be remembered. For the children, for the future, for the choice to protect life even when it is hardest." And in the quiet halls, Evan held the babies tighter. For the first time, he felt a fragile hope, a human promise that perhaps, even in war, there could be light. When humans are returned, the sky above the alien colony darkened with approaching ships. The human fleet had returned faster than expected, engines humming, weapons ready. Evan's heart raced. Though he held the babies carefully, he knew the humans expected to find the colony empty, or worse, to find him dead, a casualty of his mercy. The alien leader watched the approaching fleet from the high tower, her gaze sharp, calculating, yet tinged with curiosity. The humans had always been violent, cruel, unpredictable. Yet here was one soldier who had defied his kind, protected the weak, and shown compassion. She wondered how the fleet would react, how the humans would judge him when the first human ship landed. Soldiers poured out, weapons ready, scanning every corner. Their eyes widened as they saw Evan standing in the open courtyard, alive, holding alien babies in his arms. No blood, no chaos, just calm and careful protection. The commander of the human force rushed forward, shouting, "Evan, we thought you were dead. How did you survive?" Evan looked up, tired but steady. "I stayed to protect them," he said simply, voice carrying across the courtyard. The commander's eyes narrowed, disbelief and admiration mixing together. "How? Why?" he demanded. "They are children," Evan replied quietly. "They did nothing to deserve harm, and I will not let war dictate who lives and who dies." The alien leader stepped forward, raising her voice so both sides could hear. "This human, your soldier, protected what we love most. Your kind expected him dead, yet he chose mercy over violence. He chose life over destruction, care over war." The humans froze, the commander's jaw tightening. No one had expected the aliens to speak like this, to praise him, yet the truth was undeniable. Evan had defied every expectation of war. The babies stirred in his arms, tiny eyes blinking up at him, safe, unharmed, their small fingers clutching his coat. The commander's eyes softened slightly, admiration replacing anger. "He saved them," the commander muttered under his breath, and the alien leader spoke again, voice strong and commanding. "We declare a ceasefire, not for us alone, but to honor the choice of one soldier who proved humanity can be more than war." A stunned silence fell over the courtyard. Both humans and aliens paused, taking in the weight of her words. The commander looked at Evan, conflicted but proud. He finally nodded, lowering his weapon. "You've shown us what it means to be human," he admitted. The alien stepped back, giving space, respect evident in every gesture. Even the guards who had once raised their weapons watched quietly, knowing they were witnessing history, a moment that would be told for generations. Evan handed one of the babies to the alien mother carefully. She held her child tightly, tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered softly, voice filled with awe. Evan nodded, exhausted but unbroken. He had survived, he had kept his promise, and in doing so, he had bridged the gap between two worlds, proving that one person's choice could change the course of war, and that, even in the darkest times, mercy could shine brighter than any weapon. The human fleet prepared to withdraw, their commander glancing back at Evan. "He will return," the alien leader said, voice carrying authority and respect. "Yes," she added, "and when he does, let it be known. A human's heart can be as strong as any warrior, and sometimes stronger than any weapon of war." The story told to the SDRS the war had ended, but the memory of those days lingered in every corner of the colony. The babies, once fragile and scared, had grown stronger under the care of their parents, and Evan, alien and human alike, watched quietly as the children played, their laughter echoing through the halls. It was a sound no one had expected in a place once ruled by fear and silence. Evan stood among them, still careful, still protective. He had been made an honorary guest by the council, not a prisoner, not an enemy, but someone trusted to guide and protect. His uniform was patched and worn, his hands still carried the marks of battle, yet he smiled as the children ran to him, climbing his legs, tugging gently at his coat. Every laugh, every small hand touching him, was proof that life had survived. The alien leader approached, her expression unreadable but her eyes soft. "We have told the story," she said, "not just in the colony, but across our schools, our cities, even to our fleets. The story of one human who chose life over war, mercy over destruction, a story for every child to learn, for every soldier to remember." Evan looked at her, humbled, unsure of how to respond. "I only did what any being could do," he said quietly, "but perhaps that is enough." The children gathered around, their small voices asking questions. "Will he stay forever?" one asked, eyes wide. "Will humans come back?" asked another, pointing to the stars. Evan knelt down, smiling softly. "I will stay as long as I am needed. And yes, humans may come back, but I hope they will see that war is not the only choice, that mercy can survive even in the darkest times." The alien parents exchanged glances, their hearts lighter than they had been in years. They had expected to find their children dead, yet here they were, laughing, playing, alive, and they had found something else too, something more important than survival. They had found trust, courage, and a human heart that could defy hatred. The elder mother whispered to her children, "Remember this, the first hands you trusted were human, and they kept you safe. In the skies above, stars shone brighter than ever. The human fleet watched from a distance, surprised by the ceasefire. Evan stood at the edge of the colony, looking up at the stars. He thought of all the soldiers who had not understood mercy, and all the battles that still raged elsewhere. But here, in this place, he had made a difference. He had proven that even one person could change the course of events, that humanity could shine brighter than any weapon. Years later, the story of Evan and the babies was told again and again, in schools, in fleets, in quiet homes and council chambers. The tale of a human who chose to protect, instead of destroy, a store,